Welcome back to the All Heard podcast. I am your host, Ella Burke, and today we have one of my fave people on the planet, Jasmine Johnson, with us in the studio.
Yeah! Thanks for having me.
Oh, hell yeah. I should have brought an air horn. That would have been fun. And people... So for context, Jasmine just has a really unique and interesting story just as a person, as an individual, and also is like truly one of my besties. We met in college. She was actually my graduate assistant in my scholarship program, and it's funny to me because like I look back at our first text and I was so formal with you, and now I'm like, you probably know information that I would pay you not to tell people about. A little TMI, if you will. But yeah, we've definitely created and blossomed a beautiful friendship. TBH. I hate the blossom part.
You hate the word blossom?
It's just like, I don't hate the word. It's just more like it's like
kind of
blossom.
Yeah,
like, I'm like, ew.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so having her in today, this is my first friend I've had on, which is so exciting. I did say last week, I kind of predicted this. I was like, we're keeping it up with the J's.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have Jerry, Jake, now Jasmine. And so stay tuned for who's next. Maybe it'll be Jesus Christ himself. The Doomsday Preppers are alleging that the second coming is happening soon. So you never know. But yeah, Jasmine, why don't you give everyone an intro? Give them a little something.
Yeah, well, thanks so much for having me.
Of course, my
It's
queen.
really cool. In a weird way, you were like my student, more so always my friend, but it's cool to be here, cool to be in your studio and to watch how you're growing. Do you want my professional intro?
I would say give me everything but the LinkedIn, but professional ties into it. But I would say like give me like the Jasmine Johnson elevator pitch as far as like just who you are as a person.
Yeah. Well, I am a recent graduate.
Yeah, she is.
I live in Oklahoma City. I'm the oldest of 3 siblings.
Ditto.
Yeah, I would say I don't know that I've ever done a personal elevator pitch. Usually it's like, I'm a college student and this is what I do. Right now I work in administration for a public library system. So I'm really happy to always serve my community or give back to younger minds because of how education impacted me. I get to coach a wonderful color guard program, it's really cool to go work around them. I spun with my high school and then the $1 Million Band at the University of Alabama. So I was a part of that activity as a performer for about 10 years. And that really shaped a lot about me. In my free time, like to hang out with the buds, go to church, hit the gym, decorate my house. I do own a unwell-behaved Frenchie named Bruiser.
Oh, Bruiser.
Favorite movies, Forrest Gump, Legally Blonde.
Yep.
Top 2. Trying to think of what else. Die-hard Crimson Tide fan.
Rodad.
But yeah, I would say
that's good stuff. That's good stuff. Okay, so we'll start with this. You went from being my grad assistant to being one of my best friends. What was your first impression of me? And be honest.
Yeah. So in our office at the time, in the Leadership Institute office, we have this really big whiteboard. And we did ranked choice voting for who was going to be on the team. And I was sitting with 2 of my other colleagues, and I just remember being like, well, I'm not going to say who my top 3 names were, but you were one of them. I got to choose 5 mentors to work with. For
was that your number
year.
1?
You really were.
Was I really? Oh, man.
And so I remember just being like strategic about like, this is the team that I want.
Yeah.
No, but I can see it in my head. I think you had like orange, I'm not going to say any person, but specifically girls or women who interview at OSU, they wear like the orange heel, like something orange. So very OSU coded outfit. And I just remember you were very charismatic. And I was like, oh, she will be so valuable to what this scholarship program is trying to accomplish. And so I was really excited when I met you.
Oh my gosh.
I think that was, and then we were on the same study abroad, which I was excited for because I knew from your interview, I was just like, she's going to be really cool.
I think from
what was your first impression of me?
Oh yeah, we'll do a little. I'll show you yours, you show me mine, or whatever it is. But no, I would definitely say. So I walked into that interview. Not that Josh and Ethan are intimidating to me. They're not. I've been able, like, prior to that, I connected with Josh like really well on like a personal level, and so I wasn't like as nervous with him, but still, like, he is the director of the program, so it's kind of like, and then I'll be so honest, I did think Ethan I was worried that he was going to be a stick in the mud moving forward,
Really?
just a little bit, but like I think he took his role. Like, he was perfect for it. Like, took it very seriously, like, on the exterior, and, like, was very, like, point blank, period, blunt, which I am, but I'm not. Like, you know, I kind of deliver it while being a little bit, like, humorous, if you will. But no, just very different personality. But then, like, I ended up, like, loving him. He was so funny.
He's the best.
No, he's, like, literally the best. Shout out Ethan Renner. Miss you, King. Come let us know when you're visiting your family in Edmond. So, but yeah, no, I have
his location on Snapchat. I should look.
Where Ethan at? No, but I was a little intimidated, like, walking in there. And then I hadn't met you yet. Like, I knew you existed. I knew you were a presence on the earth. And then we're going to be within my sphere or my orbit at some point. And I walk in there and I meet you, and you were just like, super smiley, like, and it's not even like the eulogy that people read at everyone's funeral, like, she lit up the room and not even like that, but just like the energy that you were exuding, and just like I just felt oddly comfortable not having met you before when I was in there, and like I would kind of look at you first for reassurance, look at Josh because you were always like super just invested in what I had to say. Ethan was too. I literally feel like I'm like, no, Ethan was too, but it was just like, we're the only girls in the room, you know?
Yeah.
So it was just on a different level, but no. And then I think after you started sending memes in our study abroad group chat when our plane had mechanical failure and it was hot as balls, like, I was like, oh, this girl and I are going to get along good. But it is so funny, though, because I have scrolled to the top of our messages before, and it was something totally McKnight related. And I was like, hey, Jasmine, XYZ, blank, question mark, let me know. Thanks so much, period. Yeah. If you texted me like that now, I'd be like, who is this and what did you do with my friend? Like, I can't. But it's like, it's super cool to like reflect back and see that message, and then versus like how our relationship has evolved. And so no, I knew we were gonna be tight. We tight. But yes. Yeah. So for some context, you're 24.
Yeah.
And you are a guardian or the guardian of your younger siblings. So tell us how we got there, what that's like, all the things.
Yeah. So I guess I'll start kind of at the beginning of my story. When I was a senior in high school, I got accepted into the University of Alabama in August of 2018.
Roll Tide.
And I remember at the time my mom had this lump in her breast. And at the time, I think she had just come off of like breastfeeding my younger sister. So she was like, oh, it's just my body going through a change. And she called me. So it was like I got the acceptance. And to give context into what I was doing at the time, I was heavily involved in like DECA. I loved school. Was captain of, my color guard team. And so I was just really excited. It was such a dream to go march with the $1 Million Band and go to all the bowl games and be a part of a program that they just had a great style. And it was something that I wanted to be a part of.
Yeah.
And so I was very excited. I had gotten accepted. I had auditions coming up that next following April. And she called me a couple of weeks after I got my acceptance, and she was crying. It was the night before my first community college class because I was doing like a concurrent enrollment. And I will never forget, I was sitting in Nancy Pierce's classroom. She's one of my mentors. She's the greatest, one of the greatest humans on earth. And my mom was like, I have been diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. And that moment was just so life-changing in our family. I would say that grief and this disease has brought, have been like two very different instances of change that I went through, like two big perspective shifts, and that was the first one. And so from that moment forward, my mom started going through treatment, chemo, radiation, double mastectomy, plastic surgery to rebuild her chest. And I tried out for the $1 Million Ring Color Guard in April, and I got my shirt, and that's like a big part of like when you make the team, you get your shirt and you get to line up, and it was so meaningful. And my mom was there the November of 2018. She took me to tour, and we're in Tuscaloosa, the first time I've ever been to Alabama, and her hair starts to fall out. And so we get through all that. That's like my senior year. She goes through treatment, and she goes into remission in 2020. And then my senior year at Alabama, I'm about to graduate college, her cancer came back. And it had metastasized to her lungs, liver, and brain. And from then on, I graduated. I moved home in August of 2020. That's when I started my journey at OSU. And she was alive for another 10 months. She passed away in July of 2023.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the timeline of how her disease progressed. She was a businesswoman. She was active in her community. She was all about taking her kids to be a part of amazing things and showing up for all of our activities and being really supportive. But she's a single mom. So when I was 17 and she had been diagnosed, I kind of knew if she passes away, like I'm old enough to where I would be raising my younger siblings. So that's kind of how we got here. I would say the first big lesson that I learned or perspective shift was that we're all going to die. And that's really strange to like when death is in your face like that.
Yeah.
And I think for us, we had 5 years of just magical memories of beach trips, of I love you so much. When you know that that you might not get the opportunity to express your love for someone because they may be gone, it makes you so much more appreciative, and you really start to live like you're not going to be here or they're not going to be here.
Yeah.
And so I would say that changed me a ton. And then losing my mom, I wouldn't say it was sudden because she had the disease for 5 years. But I just didn't know that it would be so soon. You know, she was young. She passed away at 44. And so I was just like, surely she'll be the outlier. Like, she's so young. She's not elderly, you know. And if you looked at her, I was like, no. Like, she doesn't, even in her casket on her deathbed, like, she didn't look like I think sometimes we portray cancer patients to look.
No,
I think now also stepping into responsibilities that were hers, I'm like, this is really hard. And she did this while she was going through it. When I look back and reflect, it told me so much about how after she passed, she made things seem effortless, and she took care of things that were really difficult because she loved her children and she didn't want us to carry that burden. Yeah. If that makes sense. And so I have a deep admiration and just love for her. Her being gone and this new relationship that I have with my siblings has just given me a deep respect for all that she was carrying while she was fighting such a horrendous disease. And truly, I cannot imagine how much pain she was in. Yeah. Not that I didn't, I totally respected her and had a lot of reverence for her before, but it's just grown as I've experienced more and become more of an adult.
Yeah.
That's a part of this too. I was 22 when she passed away, and yes, I was an adult then, but it was like I had been in college.
Like you were still a kid.
Yeah.
Like you're still a kid. Like I'm that age now, like, or about to be, and like that's like I can't. I know that's like the most annoying shit to hear people say, but like I can't imagine. I don't know. I don't think anybody can imagine until they're in it.
Yeah.
And so, no, I think the way you've handled it with so much grace, you've maintained a social life, you've maintained, and preserved the different parts of yourself and the things that you love to do, and still have been able to do them. But like, it comes at a cost, and like I think your priorities have definitely had to shift. And but I truly admire you so much in the way that you've carried yourself throughout this whole thing. And I know when somebody says that to you, it's like, well, it's just what I do. It's what I have to do. And I think like also as being the oldest, I think that's kind of just like a maternal, or I guess maybe for men too, paternal thing that just kicks in. Like, no, like this is just what I have to do. Like this is it. It's not that it's admirable. It's just I have to do it. And so, but no, you've carried yourself with so much grace. You've had to, do things that people at 30 and 40 years old like aren't able to do, like 50 even. And no, it's just been super. It's been super eye-opening and just a big blessing to me to like be able to witness it. And like I have so much respect for you already, but like it just continues to grow because you've just really killed the damn game.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
that means a lot coming from you. I think it's important to note that, like, one, I'm so grateful that God graced me to be in this position. And I think that it's with my job, with my house, with all the things, I think it's important to know that when you're graced, like people will say like, oh my gosh, you make it seem so effortless and all these things. And I'm like, no, God graced me to be here. And there are people in my life, different mentors or different lessons that I had to learn that I'm like, if I hadn't gone through those things, I wouldn't be prepared for right now. And I'm just so grateful that the skills that I needed, God prepared me for. And that's just been a huge realization as I've walked through this. People have just been like, I don't know how you do it. And it's not like I'm not Superwoman. No. I've just been graced to be here. And the Lord says when the time is right, he will make it happen. And so, and two, I would say, like, I give a lot of credit to my siblings that people get to see, like, oh my gosh, she's doing that and she's so amazing, but they're the ones that live with me. And, they've gone through a tremendous loss as well. And they're affected by my shortcomings. And so I think that's a really, difficult piece of this whole journey is I don't get to be the fun big sister. I get to be a guardian for a period of time. And I think we'll all be grateful when this period is over. Yeah. But I love them. And I just hope that I can be the best Jasmine and the best big sister for them.
No, that's very apparent. And I also think too, like the times or like the ages at which all three of you guys were at whenever you lost your mom were three very fundamentally important and transitional, or just I don't even know what the word is, like not transitional, but just like
so formative.
Yeah, formative, very formative years. JC was how old
8.
Again? 8.
We were 8, 15, and 22.
Yeah, that's like 8 years old, you're starting to transition into like having a better understanding of the world and everything. And 15, hormones, starting to kind of take on adult responsibilities, even though you're still a kid, and just kind of figuring out your place in the world. And same with 22, figuring out your place in the world, being in a transitional period post grad, or like just navigating what you want to do with your life. And it's a big fucking punch in the face. Yeah. Like it is. No, how was it different for you to see the lens of grief, or see grief through the lens of like an 8-year-old, a 15-year-old, and then yourself, and having to like navigate and help them navigate their own feelings and emotions surrounding the whole entire ordeal?
Yeah. I'm definitely not an expert, so don't take my words as gospel.
I think you're better than a lot of people, though.
We can't give everybody microphones. You know what I mean? I'm like,
yeah.
No, but I think seeing, well, I'm really lucky that I had a lot of advice, because I'm not going to lie, I was in such a fight or flight mode. I don't know that I was necessarily pondering, like, I don't know that I completely grasped where they were in their life. And I don't know that I ever will. Like, my mom was healthy up until my senior year of high school. That's really different than my sister, who my mom was sick for over half her life at that point. Mm-hmm. And my brother, who from 10 to 15 didn't necessarily have the same mom that I did. That's also what's so different. Like, mm-hmm. with age, with different circumstance, we all had a different relationship and experience with our mom. Obviously, she took great care of us, but just, it's all different. And even with siblings that are, with siblings, period, you're going to have a different set of parents. You're going to have mm-hmm. a different set of circumstances. When one of the siblings goes off to college, that creates a different dynamic in the house. Mm-hmm. And so with them, I think it was really important to, and myself, to seek out grief counseling. It's the best money I've ever spent. Mm-hmm. It's some of the best guidance that I've ever had. And for them, I think in that season, I learned a lot about, you can't prevent the people you love from walking through pain. Mm-hmm. And so giving them that tool was really important. And then I think being as supportive as I could, and just knowing that, like, you can do what you can do, and that's it. Yeah. You know what I mean? You can't take it away. You can't change it. And so making sure that they had stable environments, were able to stay in, the same school environment, that they had a plate of food when they got home from school, that they had a full fridge, that they had those things, and a sister that loved them. That's what I could give them. And that's what became really important to me, because if I tried to focus on the other things, those were things that I couldn't control. Yeah. Watching their perspective, though, I just think about, like, my younger sisters. For the sake of her privacy, I think the things that I noticed, the independence that my younger brother had to develop from a really young age, just, I love him, and I just pray the absolute best for him. Yeah. And I know that I have to gain that same independence for myself, but with him just being so young, I'm just like, ugh, I love you, and I wish this wasn't your story, but it is, and I just pray that God be glorified through what you walk through. Yeah. And then for my baby sister, I was 14 when she was born, and so it's just like, she feels like my first baby sometimes. Yeah. No, it's really how it is sometimes. So nurturing them emotionally, and just in the areas that I can, and watching them walk through that process, it was really hard. Yeah. It was it's still very difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think how do you think the ways that they experienced the loss were unique to them, and how was it unique to you, in terms of, like, because like you said, everybody has a different set of parents, everybody has a different experience with parents, but like, what your favorite thing about your mom might have been may not have been Jaden or JC's, like, but what do you think that was like?
I think we were at different stages. So, like, at the time, my sister still slept with my mom. Mm-hmm. And then for Jaden, played football. And so having that parent to support you and be there in the football stands was really meaningful for him. And then I think I can speak to my relationship with my mom the most. And those are just tidbits of our life.
No, totally.
I mean, I think about, like, for me, my mom got to see my prom. She got to see my graduation from college and high school. Like, something I grieve the most is she will never meet the man I'm going to marry. And she will never be there on my wedding day. For my younger siblings, though, I received those moments. And so for them, I'm sure it's a lot of holding on to what they did get. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I'll say on I don't want to speak for them, because they're not here.
No, totally. I get that.
But yeah.
I think also youth has this essence about it that's like this, incessant optimism and like just very glass half full type of approach. And I think as you get older and you start to experience the more nasty or bad or just difficult parts of the world, I think we start to be cultured into the glass half empty mindset or focus and fixate on that. And so I think it is very interesting to ponder like the different ways that you guys experienced grief and experienced the loss, because I mean, there is like this sort of naiveness that was taken away from them that like is like the best part of being a kid, is you are naive to so many things. And for instance, like I think about with JC, like Santa, like that's, and that's something that you ended up taking on and everything, but it's still, just it kind of makes you realize like the magic that your parents create for you if you're like blessed to have parents like that. And so, no, I think it's going back to the admirable thing. It like you've taken on so many different kinds of hats and worn them all. But you've done it with... I
was Elf on the Shelf this last couple of years, which is... I hate that thing. I think we should burn it. I do.
Yeah.
I'm cool with Santa. Every single day, the month of December.
When my parents would forget to move it, they would say that the elf had gotten sick, that they had gotten a report from Santa that the elf was sick and that he needed to rest. And I believed them. And
I know the kids were like, bullshit, you guys didn't move it last night. I've had to learn like how to celebrate my siblings. I think that's one of my favorite parts, is just creating what good experiences I can for them. But I think we were talking about adulthood and people can become really jaded. I think there was a period of time where I felt what felt like hopelessness when my mom passed. And my aunt, I called my Aunt Tanya, and I was explaining this situation to her, and she's so wise. I love her so much. And she said, Jasmine, don't be in the victim Olympics.
I like that.
And she was like, if you want to put your victim sneakers on and run around the victim Olympics, that's fine. But I don't want that for you.
Damn straight.
And it was at a time where everyone was just like, you're so brave. You are a star.
I think I shot it with you pretty straight at that point.
And the moon lives.
They thought you created sliced bread.
Yeah. And I appreciate that, because there were so many people that were so gentle. But when I called her, it gets to a point in your process, and I'm not rushing anybody's process. This is all on your own time. And I think what I've learned is that grief is like a wave. Sometimes the tide is in and you have to take more time for yourself. And there's times where you have more. But she introduced this topic to me of the victim Olympics, and we were just talking, and she was just like, don't let life beat you down, and don't be a victim to your circumstance. You have to get up. And in scripture where it says this, count it all joy that the trials you walk through are a testament to your faith, or something like that. It's in John. And that's, the older I get, is life presents me with new obstacles. That kind of is now lingering on my heart. Like, I took this trial, and I know when I felt my most brightest. I know when I felt like I have this to give to the world and I'm so hopeful. I know that feeling. I know that I cultivate that through my thoughts and what I wake up and, like, what you don't feed dies.
Yeah.
So you can feed the negativity, and you can feed my life sucks. Everything sucks.
Yeah.
Or you can be like, man, this sucks, but this doesn't have to be my reality forever.
Yeah.
Or if it is my reality, how do I cultivate it into something that I'm going to enjoy, or it's going to be meaningful,
Yeah.
And the word, it also says, when you start to align your heart with God, that your desires become his desires. And I think throughout this process, it has really strengthened my faith. Like, when I say, I'll do anything, God, I just want to serve you. Do you mean that? do you really mean that?
Yeah.
And now I have really been, just in the season I've been humbled where if God has tasked me with this, then I need to bring patience and I need to put on my garment of praise and I need to show up every day and do my best.
And not your damn victim Olympic sneakers.
And leave the victim Olympic sneakers at home. They don't need to come.
Discontinue.
Unsubscribe. Send them back in the newly package.
No, it's so true. I feel like that carries me into the next question pretty well. Do you ever feel like people try to put a bow on your story too soon as far as that portion of your life? I know this isn't, and I also want to recognize that, like, yes, this is a topic of conversation we're talking about because it's been really prevalent in the past several years of your life, but this also is not your entire being either. But, and we'll get more into the goods after. But yeah, do you ever feel like people try to put a bow on your story too soon as far as it coming to with this topic specifically?
So at the time when my mom passed, it was in July of 2023. I was working for the Harvard Summer School, and I was there. And no, in seasons of hopelessness, I think I was the one that tried to put a bow on the story too soon. I think. So I was there, and they were so gracious. I had to leave early to come home to be with my mom, and she ultimately passed away. I remember being encouraged, and this is why it's so important to have people around your children that want to see your children win, because it was a lot of my mom's friends and my family who were just like, this is going to be really hard, but it is a season. And I just remember being like, I am like the sole person who is about to take care of these kids. And I just started to cultivate a lot of thoughts about myself that just like weren't true. And that's when a lot of hopelessness set in. I'm just like, I'm never going to get the freedom to go work at these institutions, or I'm going to be delayed. And that was a big thing for a really long time in my mind. Like, oh my gosh, like I should be interning right now. I should be doing, like, I'm very passionate about my career. I think it's important to, like, if you're going to do something 8 hours a day until you're 60 years old, you want it to be something that you like. Yeah. And so in this season, I was investing a lot into that, am investing a lot into that. And I was just really discouraged. And then there was a time where I was like, okay, I graduated from Alabama and my brother plays football. My sister was in gymnastics. And I was like, okay, my brother is going to go to an SEC school and he's going to be this guy. And my sister's, all these things. And I had this picture in my head. And obviously I can, still dream and encourage them. But ultimately, at the end of the day, God writes Jaden and JC's story. And he also writes my story. And so I have to trust that if I've been put in a place for a season, if I've been graced to be somewhere, that's where I'm supposed to be. And this is my encouragement to people that are really young in your career. If you feel like you're in a job or in a role or in a city that you're maybe just like, oh, I feel really discouraged here, find a light in the Lord. Yeah. And when it is right, the Lord will make it happen. And I've seen how, like, he will pull someone out of your network. You will meet somebody at the grocery store. You will have you will meet the right person. And that's how I knew I was supposed to be doing what I'm doing right now, just because the amount of people that have just really filled in the gap and supported me and helped me. There are so many, and they're really unseen. And I'm thankful that I have been led to the place that I'm in. And with my siblings, my brother and my sister, they have their own dreams and aspirations. And I'm sure I'm not a parent. I am a guardian. I'm a stand-in. I'm raising them. But I'm sure parents go through this where they have this idea of what they want their child to become. But at the end of the day, they have their own strengths and desires. And as they get older, they'll start to express those. And so that's been a big part of learning this, is just like, it's my job to support them and lead them in the right direction. And as a sibling, I honestly do that by doing the right thing and pushing myself forward
Yeah.
and propelling myself forward. Because I'm their guardian, but I'm never going to be their parent. And I let God write their story. And
No, I love it. I think you and I have talked more about like the journey of grief and what exactly it looks like, because it truly does feel like one of those things like, yeah, people are super heavily prevalent in your life for about like 2-3 weeks, maybe a month. And then for them, the world keeps spinning.
Yeah.
But I think like after you've experienced such a large loss like that, and I mean any loss in general, but I mean like again, like everybody has it on a different scale, and I'm not one of those people that's ever gonna equate like, oh yeah, like I lost my pawpaw, like it's the same thing as losing, your mom.
Grief.
But grief is grief, and also I think okay, let me not invalidate my own experience, because it's not like I lost like my 96-year-old great grandma that I saw maybe once or twice a year. I mean, that was a third parent for me. So to an extent, I mean, yeah, I experienced grief on a large scale, and it's just, I still like, I just shared a post on Facebook about it. Like I still cry about it a lot. And that also, I know a lot of people don't necessarily handle it through crying, but like I can't, it's even hard for me to still talk about it without crying, because I mean, I had a similar experience where like you are staring in the face of death, and like the quick turnaround period from like got diagnosed with it for the third time for him, and then watching him deteriorate through a period of weeks, and then even like using every single ounce of energy that they have to make sure that they're leaving you knowing that you were so loved and that you're so important. I haven't even cried on here yet, and here I am. I've made it this far, and it changes you, and it changes your outlook and your perspective. And I think like it's one of those things though that like the world keeps spinning for everyone else, but like yours has kind of changed. And I mean, given at that point too, my parents were getting divorced. I was moving away to college. Like it was like a
It's a lot.
If Oprah was God or God was Oprah, I was getting handed out like 3 free cars. Like, but in the form of just traumatic or just scary events happening. And so, no, I think and you've shared with me, and I want you to share with them a little bit, like about, what your therapist had shared with you on false promises and things that people say that they're going to do and then don't follow through with as far as that. And I think you experienced that on a way larger scale than I did, just because I still had my parents. But I mean, our papa was a caretaker for us like growing up, and like definitely did play a parental role for all of us, but it's not the same. I know it's not the same.
Yeah.
It's not. And I don't want you to think I'm like equating it.
No, but really though, like grief is grief.
Yeah.
And I think one of the biggest things grief, especially serious, like the first in your face grief does, is it can make people really existential, and it makes us come to term with our mortality, which is not easy at all. But yeah, as far as people in your circle, people in your community, yeah, there are like, colleagues or friends of my mom who will think of her. But her existence and who she was, it will be like that. Ooh, this one might make me cry.
No, it's okay.
It might not. Like, that's the grandmother to my children.
Yeah.
That is the home that I was supposed to come to for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And so I think one of my really great mentors, she lost her husband to cancer. And when I was in her class, when I was 17 years old, she was telling me, she was like, there are going to be people that are going to make you promises to, go out and get ice cream or do this and do that, and they won't follow through. And it's not because they don't love you. It's not because they don't care about you. It's just, people have their own lives and their own children. I will say I have a ton of people I, if grief has given me one thing, I so many of my relationships have just grown so strong. From my friends that helped me clean out my mom's house to people that I've been introduced to that helped me handle my mom's affairs. My mom's best friends still call and check up on me. You know what I mean? And I get to see them and be a part of their world. And so it's really shown me who is there for me. And that's been really hard at times.
Yeah.
But it has also given me a capacity for such deeper friendship and deeper love for those people. And just a sheer appreciation. You know, when your safety and your security and the person that you look to in the time of need, when they're no longer there, it feels like a threat to your existence.
Yeah.
And so to find just a home, and my cousins and my aunt and my grandparents, I just know not everybody has that luxury.
Yeah.
And I'm really, really grateful for the relationships that have been strengthened.
Yeah, absolutely. Would you say there were both people that surprised you and disappointed you?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not like an overarching, I also recognize, and I think this too, we live in such we don't know how to handle grief in our society.
Yeah.
I learned so much through this experience that I think about kids in my class in elementary school or people at college, you know, like, you should be like, why are they going through it so much? And then you go through this experience and you're like, this is very hard. And some days are easy and some days are so, so difficult. And I don't know that everybody knows. Not everybody can relate. And until, for me, even if I was to, even myself, before my mom passed, I don't know that I would have just understood the pain of grief before it happened. And so I don't fault any of those people. This is not like a hit piece or anything, but if you're a person, especially that has experienced grief, and there's someone in your life who is going through it, just try to be, you know, not what they need, but maybe what you would have appreciated. Like there were my friend's mom. She was like, hey, what? I was still in grad school when my mom first died. She's like, what nights do you go to class? And I was like, oh, Tuesdays. She's like, okay, every Tuesday I'm gonna drop dinner off on your porch. And that was so meaningful to me that was, and she didn't ask. She didn't say, what can I do for you? You and I get this one. What can I do for you?
I hate and I know a lot of people just, I think people that have gone through something that's really formative in terms of grief have a different perspective on it than people that may not have necessarily. And it's not that that's a bad thing. It's just simply that sometimes other people know how to handle it because they've been through it versus others. And I think the whole, let me know what you need. Like, I've realized that puts the burden on the person that's going through it the most at that time and it's like, I'm not going to reach out to you and say, need a casserole. Like, I'm not going to reach out to you and say, you know, hey, I may need you to drop this off. Like, and I know there are people like that I can depend on, but it's more of just like, figuring out ways to show up without having to put the burden on the person that's dealing with the loss, and just doing it. Yeah. And I think it's so important. And like one thing, for instance, that I've kind of learned, I think the whole food shit gets so overwhelming. Like when
a meal train.
And it's sometimes I'm glad that meal trains exist now, because it was at one point where people didn't have the whole train organizational system worked out, and
meals.
People would just bring stuff over, and it's like, my fridge was already needed to be cleaned out before this. Like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing now. So like, one way I figured out kind of like how to show up in that way is like Uber Eats or DoorDash gift cards. Y'all can order whatever the hell you want and just have it delivered, so it takes the burden off of you. If I need to go and order it for you, like, I totally will. But like, instead of doing like physical food, and just like kind of figuring out, picking and choosing ways to just be able to show up in the best way that fits that person's needs, I think is so important. But bro, the whole, let me know if you need anything. Yeah, I'm going to tell you when I'm naked in the shower on the floor sobbing, and I just need somebody to like lift up my face and be like, it's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna tell you that.
And I do think the sentiment is so meaningful.
Oh, it is.
It's not a knock to
People
anybody.
don't. No, it's not a knock. It's not a knock. People don't know.
Yeah.
People don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't know how to help. And so, but that's like the first step. I feel like I have now made it a knock, and it's not. It's not one. But
it's a very, even I think people that are like, who've gone through like birth, and I saw a TikTok that was like, when someone asks if they can come hold the baby so I can do the dishes, and it's like,
it's like, no, do the dishes. Yeah. Well, it's like also too, like for birth, that was another thing I'd seen recently on my timeline is like, instead of doing for a second kid or whatever, instead of doing a baby shower, like all of her friends came over and deep cleaned the hell out of her house and organized it for her and kind of really nested for her to be able to like just come home to a clean space and like kind of start that whole bonding process. And it's just like, I think it's so important and crucial that people get creative and like kind of think, do the whole like, well, let me put myself in this person's shoes when it comes to grief and when it comes to just big life events in general. Like, how can I show up? How am I best at showing up? Okay, this is a good question. What is the craziest thing that was probably well intended, but the most diabolical thing that like you had heard from a person during that time?
Yeah. It can be so transformative, and it can be such an act of love when you get to know a person and know what their needs are. Mm-hmm. I think about even when my mom was really sick, not to knock him, but there's like an instance where my dad came over to like help clean, and he just started throwing stuff away. And I remember my mom getting she's like, everyone says they want to help, but they just want to throw my stuff away. But she did have a lot of stuff, like, girl. But she came by it honest. So all that to say, different people are going to need different things. Mm-hmm. Not everybody can be everything to everyone.
Yeah.
I think it's so meaningful to call, to text, to send the cards. But if you're in a moment where you have like a couple of extra minutes where you can do something thoughtful and you have the space within yourself to be like, I can do this, offer that to them, talk with them about that. And it can be really helpful.
No.
Crazy things. Yeah. I will have to bow out of that one.
All right, let's move on to the good stuff. Passion for higher ed. What has been your favorite part of your experience in higher ed? Whether it was you being in it, you conducting it, what have you?
Yeah. I do. I love higher ed. Being at the University of Alabama, I was away from home for the first time, and there was just so much opportunity to be there and to grow and to Nancy Pierce. I was in her class, and this is so crazy thinking back, but I had this picture and I wanted to intern at this youth camp, and I had photoshopped my head on this girl's body wearing the color guard uniform, and it sat in the front of my binder.
I love that.
For the next 2 years. And she just taught me about the power. She pulled up this article or something that was like the average person spends more time planning their trip to Disney World than they do planning their life. Yeah. And I believe, obviously, that there's room. I believe that it's important that God guides you into your next season.
Yeah.
But also faith without works is dead. And so I think it's really important to just, what goals do you have for yourself? What do you see for yourself? What can you work towards every day? And I would say that 24 months, and I was just 17, 18 years old, was so transformative because my self-efficacy and my confidence, because of all the hard work I was putting in, just skyrocketed. Yeah. So I get to Alabama and just performing in Radio City, in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, performing in front of 110,000 people when Alabama's playing OSU and the president's there. Like, it was just, hearing that roar in the fishbowl and just having a coach who was just like, you're going to be excellent. We're going to demand excellence out of you. When you go through those kinds of programs, it forms you as a person because it teaches you so much about preparation and grit and how you want to show up in the workplace and how you want to show up in your life. And so even, outside of my career in marching band, the University of Alabama just gave me so much of that. I got to interact with so many great professors, and just have a lot of great experiences. And I know matriculating through that degree program, now that I have that piece of paper, I can go get a great job.
Oh, yeah.
Which changes it gives me so much security. And I think with my mom being sick, that was something that she was just like, if you have this degree, you're going to be able to take care of yourself. That gives me a lot of peace.
Yeah.
And then my internship, I interned at the Harvard Summer School.
It's like so cool to me. This is huge, by the way. Let's just preface this. Like, it was rather big deal.
Well, thank you. It was just, for being an education nerd, the oldest, Harvard's one of the oldest institutions of higher education in the United States. So just to be there and just be like, what is in the air? Why are almost all of our Supreme Court justices Ivy League graduates?
Yeah.
Why, you know what I mean? Like,
it's a good thing to consider or ponder.
Like, what is in the water here that is it, you know what I mean? So just to be in that environment, and to know what was insane is when I got there, how the students valued my experiences. Like, even if I came from a state school, even if I was from Oklahoma, I remember I told one of my students, I was like, yeah, I went to public school. And she was like, how did you
get hell?
She was like, how did you get here? And it was just a great conversation. And so that was like, it was one of the hardest summers of my life towards the end, but being there was just so great. And I love Boston.
Oh, yeah. I want to visit so bad because, like, I see
go.
pictures. No, we should girls trip it. That would be so fun. I also think, too, one thing that they are doing right there is I think a lot of the people, or I think what it was founded on is that, like, the importance of not being the smartest person in the room. And I think you and I value that in a way that a lot of people necessarily don't. I think it's scary, obviously, not being the smartest person in the room. But, like, you're growing and you're learning. And I think, honestly, when I look at it, I don't think anybody is truly ever the smartest person in a room, because I think one person can be smart in one facet of life when one can be something, or smart in totally something separate. And so, no, I think I think it's incredible how you've, like, fostered that love and passion for education and knowledge, just being, like, a daughter of two teachers and just, like, coming from a long line of teachers. Honestly, like, my papa was one, my grandma was one. I mean, my cousins, my aunts, my uncles, like, so many of them are teachers and coaches. It's crazy. And so, breaking the cycle, I fear. But maybe this is my version of teaching. I don't know. But just, like, that's something that my mom always instilled for me from a very young age, was, like, knowledge. Like, people can take and strip things away from you all day, every day.
Yeah.
Knowledge is not one of them. I mean, obviously, unless you get, like, hit and, like, you're in a terrible tragic accident and, like, you're a vegetable. But I mean, other than that, like, it's, like, one of the hardest things to take away, and, like, experience, and just, like, the things that you've learned or things that you hold with you forever. And so that's something that I thought about for a really long time after my mom said that at, like, the ripe age of, like, me being 8 years old. I was like, what are things that people can take away from me? Like, and, you know, like, it put it into perspective. But, like, I think it's so important that we do have you and people like you multiplying, because I think a lot of people are losing sight of the value of education and why it is so important. And I especially think in the state, and I won't go deeper on that for the sake of your job, but I think in this state, I think a lot of people are losing sight of that, and not education that is, you know, not history that has changed, not education that is altered to fit somebody's agenda politically or personally, whatever it is, but just, like, true, you know, learning experience.
I think critical thinking too.
Oh, yeah. I did, like, so much better on my SAT than I did my ACT. Yeah. It's crazy.
I mean, because to be, and I think that's what's so helpful for cultivating our life. Like, that's what I love about higher ed, is if you can get a student in a program, and that's what's cool about college campuses. They're literally micro communities where you have experts in their field.
Yeah.
That are constantly researching and studying how is this field evolving, whether it's business, whether it's health, whether it's chemistry, but like what engineering, whatever it is. So that's one of the things I love about higher ed is like you never knew who you're going to see in the student union too and what they're working on and how passionate they are. There's just such a buzz on campuses that is so important. But yeah, I think outside of that, some of our first institutions, students, mostly white male Protestant students would go to institutions like Harvard, and they would live in what we now call like a living learning community. And they would study under a professor, whether they wanted to be lawyers or doctors or pastors, and they would go through this kind of coming of age experience before they went back to their communities. And so in my heart, I think, okay, speaking about, you know, traditional community college or four-year students or even parents, like how can we get them in this seat and they're learning, but also they're developing this sense of self and self-efficacy so that when they go into their workplace, they're constantly curious and hungry and evolving and thinking and changing the way we do things. Yeah. I think that's just, it's my favorite. I could talk about it all day.
No, it's super important. And I think too, it's like people are starting to put an emphasis on how, I think too, like people put emphasis on like how you don't necessarily need college or like need whatever it is. And I'm like, okay, that may be true for whatever career path you're going after, but it isn't for everyone else. And also, I think it's just the experience too that you gain and just the knowledge that you gain while you're there that's so integral to like your growth and development as a human being and just as a person. And I think, yes, it's important to but even in trades, like different trades, cosmetology.
I look at that as a form of like higher education.
It is.
Too.
It is. You're learning your craft. But like, I think it's not necessarily, I'm not going to sit here and preach to you that college is the most important thing ever and that everyone should go. But I think everyone should always crave to know more and learn more and be curious.
Cultivate what they're interested in doing and how to contribute to the world. I think that can have, you know, we talk about higher education as in college and universities, trade schools. There's also a new, people are developing like skills-based hiring cohorts. There's a movie about it on Netflix. I saw it at a conference, but basically they bring people in and they teach them these skills so they can immediately turn them into these jobs that they need for these different corporations. I think Mark Cuban is the one who's like sponsoring the program. And when
Love him. Yes. Saw him at Eatsy's one time in Dallas.
When you invest in people and you give them the opportunity to work at something and grow and to put their heart in it, so much self-development comes out of it. So
for sure. Well, I know you're about to have to return to your real job. I wish you would come on and be a host full time on this thing. It's awesome. It's a blast. But no, you have been fabulous guest, fabulous conversationalist as always. I mean, I can't be friends with someone who can't yap. Like, come on, who are we kidding?
Thanks for having me,
girl. You'll be coming on again. We've got way too much more to unpack and divulge that could honestly take up 24 hours of the day, but we won't brace you with that. It's a lot. But no, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. It was great.
Yep, it was great. But yeah, as always, like, share, subscribe, what have you. Give her a listen, repost it, whatever you want. Just boosting the algo per usual, but I will see you next Thursday. Thanks and have a good one. Thanks for listening to Y'all Heard.